Identity theft protection is something most people think they will never need until a stolen identity turns months of their life into disputes, paperwork, and calls to credit bureaus. In this video, I'll explain what identity theft and identity theft protection actually are, how identity theft plays out, how to spot it, how to protect yourself, and what to do to report it and recover it if you become a victim. The hard truth is that even with strong habits, a stolen identity can take months or years to fully resolve, and most of that burden falls on the victim. So let's jump into today's video. Identity theft is the acquisition of someone's personal information without their consent. Identity fraud is what happens when that information is used to commit a crime, like opening credit cards, taking out loans, filing fraudulent tax returns. And identity theft protection then is the combination of monitoring, alerts, and recovery support that helps you catch misuse early and deal with it when it happens. The scale is large and growing. The FTC's Consumer Sentinel Network Data Book 2024 received 6.5 million consumers report with identity theft, making up 18% of them. Javelin's 2026 identity fraud study put combined US identity fraud losses at $38 billion, affecting 36 million victims. And CIFA's Fraudscape 2026, published in March 2026, recorded a record 444,000 cases filed to the UK National Fraud Database in 2025, with identity fraud the most common type at 54%. Let's see now how it works. Starting with stage 1, the acquisition. Personal data is obtained through a breach, phishing, physical theft, or a dark web purchase. At this point, you usually have no idea anything has happened. The Identity Theft Resource Center 2025 annual report recorded a record of 3,322 data compromises just in the US. Let's move to stage 2, the monetization. The stolen identity is used across multiple channels: new credit accounts, personal loans, fraudulent tax refunds, benefit applications, for example. Then stage 3, the discovery. You find out through a declined application, an unexpected debit collection notice, or a credit check showing accounts that you never opened, and often weeks, months, or even years later. Then stage 4, the recovery part. Each fraudulent account and misused service needs its own dispute process. The average victim faces dozens of individual actions to fully restore their financial and legal identity. Before we continue, a word from this video sponsor, Coveron. Everything that I've described, the cascading nature of identity theft, the months of individual disputes, the sheer administrative weight of recovery is exactly what most protection tools don't address. Monitoring catches things early, but when fraud has already happened, many services stop there. Coveron is an identity and financial protection service from North Security for US residents. It provides up to $2 million in identity theft recovery costs for eligible losses, covering things like legal fees, lost wages, and other qualifying expenses. So the costs victims usually absorb personally. It also connects you with specialist recovery support, real people who guide you through the process rather than leaving you to navigate agencies and credit bureaus alone. So find out more by visiting the Coveron website at coveron.com/FinCrime Agent, or tap the link that you will find in this episode description. And remember that Coveron at the time of this video is available to US residents only. Now, how to spot that? The earlier you catch identity theft, the less damages it does. So it helps to know the signs. Watch for accounts or credit inquiries that you do not recognize, bills or debt collectors letters for things you didn't buy, a sudden drop in your credit score, mail that stops arriving, for example, a sign of a redirect address, or being rejected for credit that you would expect to get. If you file taxes and the IRS say a return was already submitted in your name, that's a classic identity theft signal. So check your credit report regularly with all three bureaus is one of the simplest way to spot misuse early and is free also to do. Let's see how you can protect yourself and report it. So to protect yourself, freeze your credit with all three bureaus. Use unique password and multi-factor authentication, and be skeptical of unsolicited requests for personal information. An identity theft protection service, monitoring alerts and recovery support, which is the category Coveron sits in, adds a safety net for the part that most people underestimate: what happens after fraud occurs. If you are already a victim, here is the order to work in. First, report it at identitytheft.gov, the FTC official recovery site, which generates a report and personalized recovery plan. Second, place a fraud alert or credit freeze within the bureau. Third, contact each affected bank or credit to dispute fraudulent accounts. And fourth, file a police report if a creditor requires one. Keep records of every call and letter. Recovery is a documentation exercise as much as anything. For compliance team, identity theft creates obligations at 3 points. At onboarding, your KYC control needs to detect a stolen but real identity being used to open an account, because accurate stolen data can pass basic checks. During the relationship, when a customer reports identity theft, you have an obligation to act. So review recent transactions, freeze access, and in many cases you would want to file a SAR. And on the AML side, accounts open with stolen identities are frequently used as mule accounts. Cypher's Fraudscape 2026 reported misuse of facility cases, including money muling, that surged 43% in 2025 to over 106,000 cases. The quality of your response when a customer is a victim matters for them and also for your regulatory standing. Before the recap, a note on something directly relevant to everything in this series. If your firm is starting to use AI tools for investigation, SARS writing, adverse media, sanction screening, the question isn't whether AI helps, is whether the way that you are using it is defensible in front of your second line, your auditors and regulators. My FinCrime AI Accelerator is a practical new course that I built specifically for AML, KYC, sanctions, FIU, and quality assurance professional, covering real prompts, workflows for financial crime work, a governance framework for regulated environments, and the human review discipline that keeps AI use audit ready. So in the course you will have 5 modules, 6 reusable prompts, workflow chains, 5 professional assets, and the cost is £99 for a lifetime access and 30 days money back guarantees if for whatever reason you are unhappy with the course. So find out more at fincrimeagent.com/AI-accelerator. The link, you will find it in here and in the description of this video right below. So to recap, identity theft is the theft of your personal data, identity fraud is the criminal use, and identity theft protection is the monitoring, alert, and recovery support that helps you catch and survive it. It plays out in 4 stages, as we said before: acquisition, monetization, discovery, and recovery. And discovery often comes long after the damage is already done. You spot it by watching your credit and your email, and you protect against it by freezing card, using strong authentication, and having a recovery plan starting at identitytheft.gov if you are a victim. For compliance team, it creates duties at onboarding, during the relationship and on the AML side. If you found this useful, do press the like button on this video and subscribe if you want to watch more of this interesting video I put on the channel. Feel free to share the video with someone in your team that is dealing with fraud victim support or identity related compliance obligations. And thank you again to Coveron for sponsoring this video. We are at the end of it, and thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.